Well, let me just.
Ooh. Hello, Jeff. Hi, Skylar.
Hey guys, we're still waiting for Judy too. She's having trouble logging in. How is everybody?
Stucky.
Have you heard from Cheryl?
She texted earlier. I think there's some, there she is.
There she is.
I'm here. Hello.
Hello, hello. Steve Bremner is not going to be here tonight. I haven't heard from TJ, so we'll give it a couple minutes.
All right, everyone got on okay? So far, so
Like
good?
it.
Never know how this is gonna go. You think we'd be better at it by now?
We're getting there. I think Judy's trying again. You guys, should we just go ahead and go while we're waiting?
Yep.
Just some housekeeping stuff anyway. So call to order and announcement of member openings. I don't think we have any member openings. Is that correct?
Correct.
Cool.
And I think someone had mentioned in the last meeting that we just want to kind of call out the people that aren't here. Right? Didn't we say that? We wanted to kind of put that on record.
Yes, we said that.
So TJ and Steve are not here. Judy isn't, but she will be here soon, and we will make a note of when she arrives. How about that?
Sounds good.
Does anybody want to talk about the minutes from last week, the approval of the minutes? Nancy?
I had one thing. Under, let's see, where is it? Minutes, correction, parks and rec. Under 5.
Judy's here while we're talking about number 5.
Oh, no, wait, that's not where I am. I'm sorry. On page 3, number 2, where it says the description of the duties of, okay, I've got to somehow bring it up here. Sorry. Don't know where all my stuff went. Nope, don't want that.
Would that be under old business number 2?
It's on page 3 of the minutes. Number 2. I don't have it in front of me now.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Okay. You see, it has a description of what each committee, what each committee is going to do.
Uh-huh.
And under trails, it just says something about goals and objectives. It doesn't say anything about what trails are gonna do. You see that? It's about 3 lines down under number 2.
Yeah.
I got to get some more windows open here, sorry.
Yeah.
But you see it.
Yeah.
No,
Let's see.
okay, I said on page, okay, page 2, 3.
At the bottom, it just says, and a trails management committee handling long-term visionary goals.
Right, exactly.
Well, honestly, I don't remember if we added a lot to that. I thought tonight was for that. Does anybody have any suggestions on how they'd like that amended or edited?
Well, it's just that, let's see, where are we? Page. Where am I? Now I can't see it. There's more of a description for, okay. So it says, open space committee will be mainly land acquisition, management, zoning plan, noxious weeds, etc. So quite a description there. And then under trails management committee, it just says handling long-term visionary goals. So it's kind of like, that should be the description for both committees, or we should flesh out the trails committee more, or whatever. It just seems like it was kind of strange that there was quite a description about what open space committee would do and nothing about what trails would do other than goals. So whatever.
Yeah, I don't really recall that we had a big discussion on that, because I think we were talking about doing that all tonight with.
Right. So I don't care. You can leave it. I just didn't want it to be the long-term. I didn't want people to think it was the, that we had defined what open space is going to do, but we didn't define what trails is going to do.
Yeah,
See what
I think
mean?
we're gonna do the defining tonight, and I think we got spoiled with really good minutes from Andrea, and we'll probably never have that back.
Right. Okay, whatever. I'm fine. Let it go. As long as y'all know what I'm talking about.
I've been singing that song a lot lately. Anybody want to have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Hi.
Seems to approve, approved and unanimously. Agenda review and public comment on non-agenda items. So we need to add one thing into the agenda. I think that can go, we'd have to bump it all to F. It would go under old business, right, Skylar?
Yeah, we didn't have an old business section on the agenda, so we can just do it after the new business area.
Okay, so that will be the new G, and everything else will move down accordingly. What we're going to discuss is the easement or a survey at Dan Stewart's land. We kind of touched on it at the last meeting, but we need to get something to Skylar on this one. It's does anybody have any objections to that? It's not really a contentious thing. Is everybody cool with adding that?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, so that's all I need for that. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make public comment on any non-agenda items? Anybody see anybody?
There's no one in the audience right now.
Oh, all righty. So we'll move on from that one and go to Parks and Rec Advisory Board Parab update. I think everybody saw the minutes from the last 2 meetings. It looked like one was a budget meeting, one was a regular meeting. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that?
Just that it looks like they're minding the Cheyenne Village property business, and that's good.
That's what I would have said too. So it looks like they're on top of that and they're doing what they're supposed to do. Do we know where that's at, Skylar? I mean, that's really far away from happening, right?
Yeah, actually, Hannah, our new planning director, is managing that project. I don't know, she would probably be the best person to provide an update there.
Hi, Hannah.
Hi, it's nice to meet everybody. So on Cheyenne Village, we are actively working with that developer to get them through the development review process still. So right now we're reviewing their revised development plan that shows the parkland that was agreed to by Para, and then also a few other revisions. So moving forward, we'll be taking them to the City Planning Commission, and hopefully that will be in September. And they have to get approval by the city council as well. And I'm anticipating that to happen in October. That can all be pushed backward a little bit, but that's what I'm anticipating at this point.
Anybody have any questions for Hannah? Nope. All right. Parks Manager report. I think that's Seth, huh?
Yeah, so the only major thing I got for you guys is I was contacted by CJ Brunch, who's the leader of Mile High Youth Corps. Unfortunately, they're still having issues with staffing, and they're going to have to push back the dates for the trail project that we originally had a contract for. I included the new signed updated contract in the packet for this week. It should be in there. And the new dates are October 31st to November 3rd. It's a Monday through Thursday, and then November 7th through November 10th. So basically, we're just moving from the last 2 weeks of October to like the first 2 weeks of November. And she did say, I wanted to make it aware that there is a possibility for rescheduling for next year completely, just because they're kind of understaffed and they're seeing how things are going. And I said that we're just willing to work with them and kind of I hope we can get it done this year. But so far, that's what's on track for it.
Seth, how big of a deal is that when, I mean, aren't they coordinating with Rimfee? Is that still a thing? Are we worried about that at all?
No, so Renfree's full, and they had another site visit a while back, and everything's on track for them. But I think we decided a while ago that it was best to utilize them both separately.
Okay.
And so this is solely the Mile High Youth Corps having issues, and Renfree's still on track for early October.
Go ahead.
Seth,
man.
Yeah.
Is it really going to foul you up if they reschedule till next spring?
What was the question?
Is it really going to foul you up if we reschedule them till next spring?
I'm not sure what you mean. Is it going to follow me up?
Well, you have certain projects for them in mind. I mean,
Yes.
is there anything that's going to, I mean, other than regular wear and tear, is there anything that you have sequentially planned that if they didn't come and do their piece, you couldn't keep doing?
No, I think it would be okay to wait till next year, kind of thing. It's most of the detrimental stuff has been taken care of already.
Okay, well, I'll just say, after working with them for many years, you run the risk of bad weather.
Oh yeah, we talked about it, and that's why she said that it's a real possibility to reschedule for next year. And
Yeah.
all I could do is say that we're willing to work with you.
Yeah. Good. We're getting to the point where they owe us one. They keep scheduling us at the end of the year, and we'd like to be scheduled in prime time sometimes too.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree. Yeah.
That's all. Thanks.
Is that all you got for us, Seth?
That's all I got. Yep.
Cool, man.
Hey, Shannon, I've got
Yep.
one thing just to add. This probably is the best spot to put it. So the Serpentine property, I know that was discussed in the last agenda. So the next step is to present that to City Council regarding the allocation of funds from OSAC and from transportation on how to purchase that property. So I'm scheduled to present that to Council on September 6th. And I believe Shannon is planning on presenting that with me. So just kind of an FYI, that's
was
the
it?
next step in that.
What was the date on that? Scott?
September 6th.
And basically, you guys remember how we cleaned that up last time?
Yeah,
Council, I'm gonna go and they basically want to know what happened and how it went down. So hopefully we can get everybody who's ever been a president of OSAC or a chairperson of OSAC to come to the meeting and explain as well.
it's November 6th. you
I'm
said?
kidding. So
September.
6th, yeah.
September, here in a couple weeks.
September 1st.
6, 9/6 at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. 9/1.
9/6.
Oh, 9/6.
Anybody
Nancy, I'm
have
gonna
any other
send you a,
questions for the park staff? Nope. All right. So now we have a code update from Hannah. I'm not really sure what this is. Hopefully she'll read all 100 pages to us.
Yes, word for word.
Yeah.
And actually, I was planning on reading the entire zoning code, which is close to 500 pages, if
Even
that's okay
better.
with everyone.
Can we all
Um,
go get dinner first?
What's that, Judy?
I said, can we all go get dinner first?
Yeah.
So thanks, guys, for letting me be on your agenda tonight. I'm not sure how familiar you are with this project that the planning department's been working on for a couple of years. We are rewriting the zoning code, and that's a pretty massive undertaking. So it's taken a little while, but we're getting to a point where we have words on paper and we have a pretty solid direction for some of our key topics. And before we present those key topics to, or the new language to City Council for their consideration, we are doing a roadshow, so to speak, where we are going around to different city boards and committees and commissions to present what we've put together so far, get their input, their feedback, if they have any major concerns or any proposed adjustments or things that we should look at that's within that committee's purview, then this is the opportunity to do so because we can still make adjustments. So I do have a short presentation, and it is mostly what you saw in the packet, but I thought that we could just go over a few things. And for me, presenting is easiest when if you have a question, just interrupt me as I'm speaking so that we can talk about it while we're on topic. So I don't mind if you want to say, hey, Hannah, I have a comment right here, or however you would prefer. So let's get this going real quick. Oh, I think I'm sharing the wrong screen. You would think that after 2+ years of doing this, I'd have it down pat, but I don't. Okay, that should be it.
Yep.
So like I mentioned, this new zoning code we're calling the Land Use and Development Code. And there's 3 primary components to this project. And that is the initial information gathering stage where we're gathering input and ideas for what people hope to see in a zoning code, how people hope to see the built environment be formed. And then we start drafting that language to get to that end result. And that's the second stage. And our project has been in this drafting stage for quite some time. And we are starting to get towards the end of that stage. And the third big component of this whole process is the adoption process. And that is goes through City Planning Commission, where they make a recommendation to the City Council, and City Council ultimately is the approving authority. So overall, what our Land Use and Development Code does is it streamlines code sections, removes duplicative information, and it reorganizes. So within the larger city code, we are combining titles 16 and 18, as well as chapter 15.16, which is the sign code, into just one title 18. We are establishing clear procedural steps for each application type. So like a development plan review, all the different steps that are necessary there. If a rezoning were to come forward, the different steps that would be required there. We are also adding a bunch of graphics and using tables where we can, instead of a series of lists or just relying on what people think the language means. We have a very clear graphic on what we're trying to describe. We are also working on the neighborhood or code enforcement section. So we are identifying the powers of the neighborhood services officer and penalties for violations. We are also establishing a set of general architectural standards, as well as a general level or general support for preservation of natural features in the environment. And you see that through all chapters of this code. So we have established 7 chapters overall. That chapter 1 is general provisions that outlines general authority of the zoning code, how it interacts with other council adopted plans and documents. Chapter 2 is a list of all the zone districts. We are carrying forward all of our zone districts except for creating a mixed use zone district. And that would apply to the commercial properties that are east of Highway 24 and Manitou Avenue. Chapter 3 is development standards. So that's your parking standards, landscaping, fences, exterior lighting, anything to do with the built environment is in that chapter. Chapter 4 is how that built environment is used. So the different land uses that are permitted in different zone districts, as well as special regulations for each particular land use. A good example is, not that a junkyard would ever happen in Manitou, but let's just say if there ever was one, and they wanted to do outdoor storage, well, we would then, through this section, regulate that all of that was screened by a 7-foot fence and things like that. Chapter 5 is subdivision regulations, and subdivision regulations really just show how land is able to be subdivided and the legalities that go with that. It also talks about land dedications, which the Open Space Committee is a part of. Chapter 6 are the application procedures that I had mentioned, and Chapter 7 are the definitions for every term in this whole new Title 18. So I identified that the Open Space Advisory Committee really has purview over topics that are found in chapters 2, 4, and 5. We pretty much carried over a lot of the language from the existing code into the new code with a few small adjustments, which I'll go through. And we also, okay, sorry, I made a mistake there. But moving right on ahead to chapter 2, this section outlines the different publicly owned zone districts. So the park zone district, open space, public facilities, and the Open Space Advisory Committee does have purview over the open space zone district. In the existing code, that particular section does say that there is a 10-spot parking spot maximum for open space parcels. We are proposing to remove that maximum, and that is just approved per an open space management or open space master plan. So if you felt that an open space area needed more parking, it would be permitted. We also are lowering the threshold for on-site water quality from 5,000 square feet of impervious area to 2,000 square feet. So if you had a parking area come in that was 2,000 square feet, with the existing code, you wouldn't be required to provide on-site detention, but with the new code, you would. And in that existing code, it also outlined different procedural steps for rezoning a parcel to open space. And we have relocated that information to the application procedure section, pretty much word for word. Chapter 4 is pretty straightforward. We are carrying forward all the permitted land uses in the open space zone district that's inherent with nature preserves, passive recreation space. But we are proposing to add a couple of land uses that we're really interested in getting your feedback on. So we're proposing to add apiculture, which is basically bees and bee colonies, as well as community gardens, a bike share hub or docking station, as well as essentially a bus stop, which we're calling transit facilities. I don't know if the Open Space Committee has any strong feelings towards not allowing these land uses, but we felt that they were sort of passive in nature and really supported the use of open space properties. So we went ahead and proposed those to be added in the zone district.
You want us to comment now? Or
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
have discussion?
Yeah, I'm curious. Just go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah, I don't know how you want to handle it, Shannon, but
When is there going to be a discussion? Like, is that, I mean, I know it's an idea, but I mean, are we gonna be I mean, when do we come into play here for the final?
Sure. So that would be tonight. I'm
Oh.
hoping to get feedback tonight so that if there were any concerns, I can go ahead and make changes before we got too far along.
okay. So I do have I'm not sure any of our open space is appropriate for community gardens. I can't imagine, maybe one of the rest of you can think of a place, but because our open space, we are protecting as open space with not other uses other than passive recreation. I have a hard time imagining, unless we had a corner somewhere that, you could think of, would it allow us to specify where and where not a community garden could be, Hannah?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. So in chapter 4, we could add that the community garden land use, when located in an open space zone district, we can say that it has to be within so many feet of like a right of way. So it's not like in the middle of an open space parcel or something along those lines.
Right, and pending approval of the open space committee.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, the same,
One-
actually, you took the words out of my mouth relative to a docking harbor station and transit facilities. I would assume that those would be on some kind of community right of way or city right of way, not set in the middle of open space somewhere.
Right, there may be an instance where there may not be enough room within the right of way that they need to be set into the property just a little bit, but we can definitely say that it can't be any further than like 10 feet from the right of way or something along those lines.
Right, sure, okay.
My knee jerk reaction to this is like, I don't see how it would fit in any of our open space, but then like you just talked about, not too long ago, we had someone who basically built a community garden on an open space, and our last planning director, we basically did a cease and desist. It was probably a perfect place to do a community garden, and the neighbors took it upon themselves and did it. So yeah, my knee-jerk reaction was like, wait a minute, hold on. But then I thought about that space up on Pilot Knob. I think you guys, Jeff Beery's place.
Yeah.
Between Jeff Beery's place and the modern little row of condos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's an open space parcel right there.
Right.
So I would wonder if we'd want to talk about taking those out of open space and turning them into something different, because I don't know if that fits into any part of what we want to do as a management plan for open space. But I think, and I'm trying to get the ball rolling with that conversation. I'd also really like to see a pretty in-depth application and approval process through us. I don't want anybody thinking that we're just going to start adding these things to open space. Because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of pushback from a lot of neighbors.
I'm wondering if, can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
I'm just wondering too, if, when I read this, it looks like maybe it would be better added to the parks purview than us. Is that because they have more things that are involved, like on edges of streets and things like that? Maybe this is just the wrong fit. What do you think of that?
No, I agree with you. I don't think we should ever be in the business of giving away our open space on one hand, but on the other hand, for 30 years, we've been taking a lot of weird little properties for open space that could definitely be a community garden. One comes to mind up on Cliff, like a 400 square foot parcel in the middle of a neighborhood that connects to nothing. They gave it to us as a donation. We took it. We're never going to not take it. That would be a perfect community garden, but
But that, I mean, that property that we just gave to Parks at Cheyenne Village, it sounds like kind of the same thing, is that that little space maybe should be donated to Parks. So if somebody wanted to do that, it'd be a better fit. And this is a question, I'm not.
well,
sure.
but we didn't give them any property because we didn't have it to give.
Well, right. So-
I think this is a really good discussion that I think we've been kind of thinking about for a long time about all these tiny little parcels.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Nancy or
Yeah, I
Tim.
think that's a really good place. And you're Jeff, the one on Jeff Beery's property, I think we really reacted to because they put a structure on it, which is a whole different discussion. But you're right. We have all those little parcels that don't provide any purpose for us other than to have to put them in a management plan. And it could be appropriate. So I can just imagine, as long as the language is in here that says any proposal for a community garden would have to go through OSAC, would still be possible.
And then, will there be a mechanism that lets us transfer that property? Because I have no desire to get into the maintenance or whose tomatoes are growing over on whose broccoli. I mean, we're not doing that. And those are the little things. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but that's the kind of stuff you got to think about at community garden. Someone overwatered someone else's blah, blah, blah. We're not doing that. So,
Well, and just providing water, period, will be the next step.
right. So I think we'll have to have more discussion, but I mean, I'd be all for it if there's a way for us to absolve ourselves from the land management aspect. Tim, go ahead.
Super.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that the ordinance that creates OSAC, one of the things that it repeats in there is one of our jobs is to make the decision on whether something should be put into open space or taken out. I don't remember the exact language, but it certainly not just allows us to, but says that that's part of our job. So we should be able to pull that off.
And I think also,
Another big spot like that is the Keithley property down there. Where we have a greenhouse on it.
Well, and we have, I think with the subcommittee, this will transition to one of the next parts of our meeting is maybe the subcommittee for land management or open space management. We can dig in and make it a long-term goal of which properties do we not need anymore. And when I say that, a lot of these properties 20, 30 years ago were taken or purchased or donated with the idea of a trailhead or something. Maybe we need to look at these properties and say, well, you know what? Someone built a house now, or now it won't connect, or it does, or there's a connection a block away. So I think there's a lot that we can look at and probably put into the idea of having these kind of things. So does that make sense, Hannah? Are we helping or hindering?
Oh, no, you were absolutely helping. So I want to write a code that works for this group. And you guys know the most about how to handle these things. So what we could do in maybe, I'm not sure, I haven't seen an open space management plan, so I'm not sure if that's the right mechanism, but generally speaking, what I think I've heard is that there could be support for allowing some of these land uses as long as it was within a certain distance of the right of way, and it became part of an open space management plan that absolved OSAC from the maintenance responsibilities, and it really got put on whatever organization was proposing this community garden of some kind.
Yeah, I think as long as there's language in there. So for example, I'm a beekeeper and I read this and I go, great. I know I can put my hives on open space. Well, we wouldn't want that to happen without knowing where, how much, and who. So I think I want to help you. I don't want to throw more wrenches in the fire. I think, we might have general agreement to all of this, but only upon approval of OSAC. And then the Open Space Management Committee can decide, if there needs to be an MOU or something with that, or you just want to deed the property over to a Community Gardens Foundation or something like that. But first,
Right, as long as there's a mechanism that we can not just have a management plan, but to not have to have a management plan that we have to update every 10 years to actually get, because we have these management plans and then all of a sudden every 10 years, we're talking about paying someone $30,000 to update the management plan. I don't want to do that for someone's community garden. So go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I was just thinking it does seem like the best way to do it would be to either a variance or just to deed the property into or rezone a small chunk of the property so that it's no longer an open space. And
I mean, is it even a thing? Like if one of these things, a community garden foundation, because I think they're actually making money at some of them. Can we sell property?
That's a good question for Skylar, I think. I'm not sure if when land is dedicated to OSAC, if that comes with a series of intense deed restrictions. But if not, then maybe the best way forward is to just say, if you are wanting to seek out using open space land for something along these lines, and we need to go to OSAC in order for for land to be deeded maybe to a nonprofit, like a community garden nonprofit, or some memorandum of understanding or something be put together. If the open space management plans isn't the right tool, then I'm sure we could find a different mechanism.
I don't
Yeah, I
think.
mean, I
it is
think
the
it's a
right
great
tool.
idea as long as we're not like put into a position where it has to happen without our, I just don't want to get into a place where like, dang, man, I wish we didn't do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Shannon, I don't think we can sell open space, but the city owns it, but the city could rezone it.
Well, and the only reason I even brought that up is if there is a place that is the perfect community garden and someone like, what's that guy? I forget his name. He runs a community garden foundation.
Barack.
Who?
Barack.
Yeah,
Barack.
Ron. If someone like that wanted to purchase the land, could we do that? I mean,
That's a question for Skylar or somebody.
I
else.
probably
I don't
Jeff.
see us selling it, but I could see an MOU type situation where we would have, certain parameters.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, this is going to sound kind of distasteful, but if some outside organization is going to come in and make money off of our property, I think we need a part of that. So,
Yeah,
So-
I think all of that would fall under the MOU.
If the
Keep
committee,
control.
But I think if we come across a property and it would be just perfect for a community garden, if we leave it in this code section, that it gives us leeway to say, yeah, this could be a great community garden. And if
right.
we work out all the details, this code section gives us and the whole community use of this land for a perfect use. So I have no problem with it being in there, because if we didn't like that, we say, no, that is not going to work, we would say, no, we don't think that falls into our open space plan for these reasons.
Mhm.
And we would
Right.
just vote it down.
And that's a good point, Robin. And, to piggyback on that, I think this also will give the community members like some kind of mechanism to figure out where they could do it. They're trying to do these illegal ones, and every time code enforcement drives by, they get a little panicky. Like now they could actually make a plan and do it legit. So with land that they helped buy. So
Yeah,
it
and
is
it
their land too.
sounds like the community is really wanting it. So
Right.
we might as well, if there's a parcel that would work well for that, I think we should work with everyone to do it, if it works out.
I like it.
So what I'm hearing is leave community gardens in. So how do we all feel about a docking hub or station? So for example, a bunch of e-bikes lined up for rent, or scooters or something like that in your open space.
Well, I mean, we have an ordinance that says there are no e-bikes allowed in our open space.
Right,
But
but
if you
that
need
doesn't
to-
mean a hub, that doesn't mean you can't ride your e-bike to the trailhead and take off from there.
Right.
Yeah, and if you are coming from a long way, that would be great. I can just ride my bike over, plug it in, go from my open space, hike, run, whatever, come back to my bike, or have a bus station drop off like they do on Ruxton. That maybe for, again, if we like it and say, this would be perfect to put in, we could charge bikes here, especially 10 years down the road, when we're hopefully doing a lot more of that it's already in our code, and we can do it when it's feasible and a good spot.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, Robin. I did have the one thought that if we have a docking hub at a trailhead, I could go up there and plug in my bike, and I have an off-road bike now, which I won't ride on the trails, but I wonder if we're tempting people to ride their e-bikes on the trails. If we put a docking station at a trailhead, I don't know.
I think if we got to that point that we really were offering charging at the trailhead, that there would be signs, remember, no e-bikes on the trails.
Uh-huh. And then there's the enforcement issue.
Mhm.
Honestly, I mean, I'm not gonna die on this hill because we don't have any specific, but it would have to be really specific, and we'd have to look at it and judge it by the area, whoever is asking us, can we do it? Because there's really not a lot of places you could even do something like that. So I don't think I would leave it in there, but as long as we have full authority to deny or approve on a case-by-case basis, I don't think there's any reason getting in the weeds on it now. I mean, I can't see there's not a single trailhead that we have that's bus friendly, except the one up on Ruxton.
Yeah, Ruxton is.
And that's it. I mean,
Can-
we're not
10
driving a
years
bus up
from now-
Pawnee, and the bus probably shouldn't go up Crystal Park where there's no turnaround. So,
But 10 years from now, we don't know what, will Black Canyon look different?
right.
Do you park up at Waldo Canyon and I mean, all that's out of our jurisdiction, but. something
Yeah. So
like
don't
that.
take it out, but I don't think we have to get too deep in the weeds.
No, I don't think so.
Yep. We want to encourage mobility or multi-mobility or whatever it's called.
We also want to encourage walking.
Where we're at is that we want to put in there that there's agriculture, community gardens, docking stations, so forth, with OSAC approval.
Mhm.
That's the minimum language that we want added in there.
Yeah, what we could do is in chapter 4, where there were those opportunities for specific additional regulations attached to land uses, we could say where requested in the open space zone district, and we would need to wordsmith this much better than I'm saying it right now, but you would have to get approval from the OSAC committee before moving forward with anything.
No, I think that's great, and I think it's a really good step. I just don't want to get in a position where this is like a staff approved thing, not because of you, but we've had issues in the past, and cell tower, for example. So
Yeah, I understand. So if we put that language in the zoning code, we as staff could not change it without going through city council first. So that kind of outlines the review authority in code that we couldn't change administratively.
So do we need to craft some kind of motion for this to go to council, or you just get the feedback and you take it to council?
I do, if the committee is in favor of what I'm generally proposing with maybe some minor adjustments. I would ask for a motion just so that I could take that forward to City Council and say OSAC is in favor of this new code with these small adjustments, which you could see were made in XYZ sections.
I don't know,
Uh,
I think we need to think that over and actually make the changes ourselves to what we want. We don't know what those changes are. We can't approve something when we don't know what the language is.
Right. So what I could do, I do have just a couple more things to talk about tonight.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what we could do is also table the discussion, and I could bring that revised language to this committee perhaps next month, depending.
You had several suggestions for motions in your letter
Mhm.
included, right? Okay,
I did.
we can look at that too. After you go through the rest.
Yeah, sorry to hang you up.
Oh, no, you're totally fine. So the next section that I wanted to talk about was language found in chapter 5, in the new chapter 5. So that is the subdivision section, and we're talking about land dedication specifically. So we are not proposing to change the amount of land that's required to be dedicated. So that would remain the same. So in the current code, it says 5% of the gross acreage plus 600 square feet per dwelling unit, up to a maximum of 25% of the gross site area. We're carrying that forward. We're not proposing to change it. The adjustment that we are proposing is in managing the cash in lieu process. The current code says that when OSAC approves cash in lieu, that it has to be fair market value of the undeveloped land, but not less than 20,000 square feet per acre. And then it outlines that if there was a disagreement on what fair market meant, that the city would appoint an appraiser, the developer would appoint an appraiser, those two appraisers would appoint a third appraiser, and they would determine fair market value. So we are proposing an adjustment to that where we say that the cash in lieu amount is approved in the city's universal fines and fees schedule that's adopted by City Council annually. So that way we're not going through a process every single time a subdivision were to come up. We've established it for the year. This is what we think fair market value is for the year. That gets adopted by City Council, and we are moving on. So that's what we're proposing, but again, we're open to discussion.
But who is fair market value determined by? Like the selling realtor or the buying realtor?
Right. So what we could do is the city would appoint an appraiser, and we would just use that number with the new process.
And that changes just like one time a year, or?
Yep. What we could do is if there was a massive swing in the market, there would be an opportunity. We are able to propose adjustments to the fee schedule at any point during the year. It's just an annual thing automatically, but we could change it mid-year if we needed to.
Does it take into account like a Garden of the Gods view versus in a ditch?
Yeah,
Right. It would be what an appraiser would deem the value would be. And I'm not exactly sure what an appraiser would look at, but I would assume that it would be the view. I mean, a home that's of the same square footage on a same parcel would be worth more if it had a view like that than somewhere else in town, I guess.
Tim, I know you have some input here.
yeah, I just think that's an impossible number to come up with as a general price per square foot for property in Manitou. Boy, that's going to vary so wildly from even on the same block. It could vary wildly. So I don't know if that's a fair way of doing it or an effective way of doing it. So
I don't think it's fair to us.
Well, it could be high in some cases and low in some cases. We don't really know. So,
it could be wildly off. That's
Uh-huh.
the problem.
yeah. Yeah, the appraiser could be a friend of the developer.
Well, I mean, not even that, you know, just, yeah, it's like you were saying, a house with a view and a piece of land that's has no view at all, or has drainage problems or something like that. It's just, I think that's an odd way of doing that. Just my-
I know that it's a pain, but I certainly like the way it is right now. But that's me. I don't know if the 20,000 an acre is fair. That seems kind of outdated. Probably on the low side, like the very low side. Just imagine, like, if a developer is going to, well, we have 9 acres down the road, and that was what, $3 million. I think they bought that for 3.5, maybe. I could be wildly wrong on that, but that's way more than 20,000 an acre. So I don't want developers to think that they're getting away only paying 20 grand an acre, because none of us can buy a piece of property for 20 grand an acre in Manitou.
Well, they're not getting away with that. That's what they have to give us. They're paying
But
whatever.
getting
they're
away
paying.
with only paying 20 grand an acre is a steal for a developer, is what I'm getting at.
If they're paying what, 3 million for the acre or whatever? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying there's no such thing as a $20,000 an acre lot in Manitou. So
I
if a
know, but
developer,
that's not what they're paying.
Yeah.
This is only what they're giving us is 20,000.
that's what they would be paying us. I'm saying that number needs to be higher, what they give us.
Well, we're not asking them to pay the fair market value of the property.
Well, but we are saying,
Is that what we're really doing?
no, not with the proposed thing. I don't think the current says fair market value, but not less than 20 an acre.
Yeah,
I think it should be fair market value and not less than a higher number than 20 grand.
okay.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, Hannah, but someone at the city a couple years ago told me that we have less than 19 buildable acres left in Manitou Springs city limit. Do you know if that's true?
I don't know the exact number of acres, but it's not a large amount.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that property can't be re-subdivided, where it's one parcel now and then somebody seeks to subdivide that out and suddenly the buildable acreage increases because it's already spoken for as one lot now
It's also without annexation.
and without annexing. Yeah.
Yeah, but my only comment is that that's just such a wildly variable value that I don't think coming up with one number makes sense. It's going to be a windfall for somebody and a real problem for others. So.
Well, as a member of this committee, we should be hoping the windfall goes towards us all the
Sometimes,
time, 100%
sometimes
of
it
the
will
time.
and sometimes it won't this way. Yeah.
Right. So what do you think about the current? What is anybody's thoughts on the way it is currently?
It's a good deal for the developers.
What's that?
It's a good deal for the developers right now.
Really? I thought, Tim, you'd be saying we're going to price the developers right out of wanting to develop here.
Well, you can do that. You can certainly do that, but I don't think we came up with what? It was like $17,000 or something that they owed us for, I forget how many thousands feet. It wasn't an acre, that's for sure. But it wasn't a wildly,
At Cheyenne Village, you mean?
yeah, it's Cheyenne Village.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it was I think they probably thought that was a great deal.
But wait, that we should, according to this, if this is the old rules, we should have gotten 20,000,
Per acre.
not less than.
Per acre. We didn't get a whole acre.
We didn't have a whole acre due to us.
Wait, the fair market, doesn't it include the total amount of undeveloped land?
No,
They're buying the
just
whole-
what the dedication would be.
Just the
Of
dedication.
no, just of the dedication, right, right.
So they broke that down to us at a square foot price, and it was like 17,000, I think $760.
Okay. And
our
that's
square
5%.
Foot, I don't remember our square feet on that. Do you, Tim?
Oh, no. I could look that up.
I want to say it was like 13,000 square feet, but I could be totally wrong.
It had to be what was up here though, right? 5% of the gross acreage plus 600.
Right, it was 5% of 9. I think they had 9 acres there, but only a part of it was being subdivided. So it was real weird.
Plus, we don't know how many dwelling units.
They didn't have to do that because they are not the ones building the homes. And the homes that were on the property were already existing.
Oh,
So they weren't proposing, they were proposing building sites, but they were not proposing buildings. So they didn't have to do the 600 per.
huh. It's over my head.
Hannah, what are your thoughts if we wanted to make sure? And I guess the big thing is there's some property over here, the Beisel property. It just went on sale again for an ungodly amount of money. We're not going to buy it. But if someone did and wanted to develop that, they could, by El Paso County standards, build a bunch of houses back there because it's unincorporated El Paso County. How would we make sure that we are well compensated?
So if it's out of the city's jurisdiction, I'm not sure how OSAC plays into it, but if it was in the city's jurisdiction,
Well, because I think the best case for them would be to get annexed. So then they could have city water and sewer because they can't drill wells over there.
right. So if they were to go through an annexation process, what number of things can happen, but one option is figuring out what land is to be dedicated for parks and open space at the annexation level, so it becomes part of an annexation agreement. And then we don't necessarily need to figure it out at the individual subdivision stage. But with the current code, we would have this 20,000 square foot per acre minimum. And if we feel that that's not appropriate, we can absolutely up that with this code adjustment, with this code update. I definitely hear what you're saying about some land being more valuable than other land. And the annual update is not quite as responsive to different property conditions. I am more than okay with keeping the existing process if it's working for you, but we can keep this with, let's just say, the Beisel property as the minimum for sure.
I guess what I'm worried about is with the proposed editing of it, it's possible we could get under $20,000 an acre, right?
It would depend on how we would word the fee schedule. So with the fee schedule, we can absolutely still establish a minimum. And the benefit to that is with it being in the fee schedule, we can update that more easily than we can with code. But again, it wouldn't be as responsive to different values of property based on location reviews or things like that. But we could, with the fee schedule, still establish a minimum.
What do you guys think?
This is Jeff. Like,
Hey, Jeff.
I read the current one, and it looks like, you know, there's an agreement between the city, right? So somebody's already agreeing, and theoretically the city has the benefit of the city right at hand. So I guess I'm just not sure why the current one, if we kept it, wouldn't be sufficient, and even without a dollar value, because it would be what the city agrees is fair market value. So is it like we're saying we don't trust the city to set a fair market value for our own property? It just seems like maybe to me, it seems like we're way down in the weeds when we have to trust, you know, the city to look out for this for itself. And unless I'm missing something here.
Hannah, are the changes being requested just because it's easier to do it the other way?
Right, it is an effort in trying to streamline some of our processes. Manitou Springs has many steps that could be accomplished through other means. And so part of what we were hoping to do is streamline some of these things. That doesn't mean that all changes are going to be appropriate like we think we do. That's why we kind of do this roadshow, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I definitely hear what Commissioner Henshaw is saying, or a committee member, where we could get rid of a minimum, and then it is up to, I mean, I think all cash in lieu agreements have to be approved by OSAC, don't they?
We recommend, and then it has to be approved by city council.
Right.
And, you know, honestly, I think of all the things that we could add steps to, this one might be one of them, because this happens so very rarely. I've been involved in the city for almost 20 years now, and this has happened like twice that I can count. So I think this would be an important one to keep multiple checks and balances in, so we can adjust on the fly if we need to. Because I mean, we also use this, I hate to say this, but I mean, we also use this as, this is a humongous chess piece in preserving the quality of life for Manitou people, that we can use to benefit, or we can use it to kind of create the neighborhood vibe that we want. So I think it's important to have that flexibility still.
I'm hearing you want it to be the same, but you want to, so fair market value of the undeveloped land, but not less than, and you want to increase that number.
I would increase it, but I'm not gonna die on that hill. So I'm not. I think fair market value really says it all. So
You don't want, you want to take out the minimum?
no, I'm not gonna argue either way on that. I'm cool with whatever, but I think fair market value, because I think our fair market value down here on Cheyenne Village was an awfully low number.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
Well,
So
we're-
really, the 20,000 is just protecting us at the low end,
right,
what you're saying.
yeah, it totally is. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, per acre of land in Manitou.
Yeah, 20 G's is, there's no such thing. I mean, you can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, why not fair market value? I don't.
Is that kind of what you were saying, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe there's some weird piece of land that's not worth 20 grand an acre. I don't know what it would be, but yeah, I mean, my thought is just not to go by some sort of schedule, right? That somebody randomly, or maybe not quite randomly, but kind of high level assigned a value. I just think if it's reviewed, and if it has, to go through us, but we don't want somebody to say, oh, well, this is, the schedule says it's, it's whatever it is, $5,000, or maybe it's 100,000. Either of those could be low, right? You don't want to just say, oh, the schedule says this, and yay, I get it.
Right.
So I just think that it should be, the fair market value with, like it says now, Manitou. It's not like somebody outside of Manitou determining what that value is, but it's, we got somebody in the game looking out for our best benefit, or for our best interest. So I kind of like it the way it is,
Okay. So the idea is just, we want to keep the process the same with three appraisers, and that's it.
Right. And
everything else stays the same.
yeah. And I mean, just to kind of reiterate what was already said, it sounds like the reason for doing this was to streamline things. There was nothing wrong with the process, other than somebody thought, oh, maybe we can streamline this. But, Shannon says it happens once every 10 years. So how much effort, or how much does it cost us to tend to this?
Not only that, it only goes to 3 appraisers if the 2 appraisers selected by the city and the developer can't agree. I mean, that could happen like that.
Yeah. Yep.
So
It's not that onerous a process, you're
it's
saying.
not that onerous, right?
Not, I mean, literally doing this. I mean, maybe once in 20 years. Can anybody else think of another time that it's happened?
Besides Cheyenne Village?
Right.
Yeah, the property over under 24 going up the hill there.
Black Canyon?
No, the opposite direction, up towards you, up towards whatever the name of the park is at the top.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The small pocket, the small part.
No, it's a big park. It's a big area with a small, we now have, they dedicated the land to us along the stream or the arroyo or whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about, Shannon?
No.
The one
No?
that you and TJ.
Bildauer Park.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
goes up to
Bill
Bildauer
Bauer
Park.
Park. Yeah. That's right. And they never developed that over there either.
Well, haven't they built a couple houses?
Uh-uh.
Mm-mm.
No. Anyway, that's another property I can think of.
Yep. Anybody else have thoughts on that to give to Hannah?
So is what I'm hearing is to leave it the same way, exactly,
I'm cool with that.
including the 20,000, not less than.
Recording in progress.
It sounded pretty serious. Yeah, I guess, I mean,
Yeah.
right? Is that everybody, nobody else has anything to say? Is everybody awake?
Mhm.
I'm good. Yeah.
Got a big thumbs up. Cool. Cool. You cool with that, Hannah?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So basically, all the land dedication components will remain exactly as they currently are.
Right.
That being the amount and the cash in lieu process.
Yeah.
And the last few things are just current, just housekeeping, I guess, items. The current status, we are having the draft language reviewed by our code committee. The code committee is made up of Manitou residents and practitioners who we've been meeting with almost on a weekly basis to talk about some of the other components to the zoning code. Like I mentioned, we're touring different city boards and commissions to talk about things that fall within their purview. And staff is still working very closely with our consultant, Logan Simpson, to develop a series of application checklists, as well as an executive summary of all the changes that are being made. So what's next? We are proposing a period of revisions after code committee review and after our roadshow. Then we will do a public outreach process where that code is uploaded for public review, where they can comment, and also a open house where public can come in and learn about different things that we're proposing through this zoning code. Then we would head to the City Planning Commission, then City Council. And right now we're thinking that it's possible to get through the adoption process before the end of the year. However, our grant, who's funding most of this work, does go through August of next year. So if we did end up going into January, that wouldn't be an issue with our funding or anything like that. So just as a quick update, or not update, but info on who's on our code committee. So who's kind of been guiding this process. We have Council Member Natalie Johnson, Alan Delwich, who is the chair of the Planning Commission, Gloria Latimer with the Planning Commission, Andy Wells on the Housing Advisory Board, Farley with the Urban Renewal Authority, and she's a local business owner, Rachel, who's both a citizen and a realtor, Darlene Kennedy, who's a resident, Pat, I'm not going to try to say his last name, it's almost worse than mine, who's also a citizen, and Rich Scholes, who is also a local resident and has a good amount of contractor experience. We did also have Conrad, who was a representative of the sustainability component of everything in the zoning code. He did have to leave our committee to take a new job, but not before he imparted all of his knowledge into the code. So I guess with that, if there's any questions, we've talked a lot with about the different topics as we've tackled them. But today I was hoping to get either a vote in support if we found that the language was favorable, or to table the discussion to bring it back to this committee for additional review. But what I'm hearing is that the only change that we would really need to, it's not really a change, but an update that we would need to make, is that any land use to occur within the open space zone district would have to get approval by OSAC, other than its inherent use as a nature preserve and passive recreation space, which would be an easy adjustment to make at this point.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Hannah, I had a couple questions from chapter 2. Are you able to bring that up to share it?
Yeah, let me get that screen.
Page 16. I mean, I can read it, but
I do have it pulled up. Let me just get to the right page.
sure. Chapter 2, page 16.
Okay.
So E, it says dimensional standards. It says, yeah, great. It's hard to read from here.
Yeah, trying to zoom in.
Great. Okay, that's great. So under E, and this is all under, I forget what the big criteria, big category is just above this, but it's about open space,
Mhm.
I think, right? So dimensional standards, let's see, yeah, if you scroll up, yeah, open space. Anyway, okay, so it says development standards shall be established by the open space management plan as established by a development plan. So what development standards? We don't have any development standards in anything really. We have open space management plans, but they don't contain development standards that I'm aware of.
Okay. Let me see what the current code says, if it says anything different. Okay, so it looks like there isn't a dimensional standard section in the current code. So that was probably a carry forward. One of the things our consultant did to help improve consistency across the different sections was the same section headings across all zone districts. And a lot of the residential commercial zone districts had very clear dimensional standards. So we could easily just say this isn't applicable.
Okay, so take that out. And then under the open space management plan, under F, you say 1, an open space management plan shall be submitted meeting the criteria established by the planning department. I've never seen any criteria established by the planning department.
Yeah, I had just texted Skylar about this earlier today. I don't think that that falls within the purview of the planning department, but it is in a language carryover from the existing code.
Okay.
So maybe this needs to be an adjustment where it's criteria established by the.
It could even be by our master plan, by the parks and open space plan, or something like that. That might be one way to go, depending on what Skylar thinks. The other thing is, when we start talking about open space management plans, our open space management plans are approved by the Palmer Land Trust, which holds the conservation easement on all of our open spaces, our big open spaces.
On the big ones, yeah.
Yeah, not the little ones, but all the big ones. And so there are those management plans. They don't have development standards that I'm aware of, and and we've never done anything with planning commission relative to that. So I can't imagine that. I guess another example is if we go under 4C, all fire breaks or other wildfire suppression measures shall require an approved open space management plan. Well, they're not in our open space management plan. When we've done fire mitigation, and we've done a lot of it, it's been a plan it's been a plan of our fire department. And the fire department has written the prescription for that mitigation. So I think there are a few things in here if we're going to get it in here, now's the time to think about what the proper language is around this. Yeah, and I don't know what the rest of you think, but we don't have management plans, for example, that include site-specific measures for restoration, revegetation of any affected areas. We don't have that right now in any management plan.
Well, but I mean, our big management plans gloss on those subjects. In a very vague way. They also talk about fire mitigation in a way that's sufficient for the land manager, which is the Palmer Land Trust.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, Shannon.
Well, no, I mean, they do say it. They just don't really get in depth with it. I think fire breaks and I think you have a good point with fire breaks and wildfire suppression. I believe that, I think the wording there is really weird because it says fire break and wildfire suppression. That has nothing to do with mitigation. Those are during an active fire. So I don't know that we need to be involved in managing fire suppression. So maybe we could just get that out of there. I'm curious.
Maybe just the language, So it says all trails shall be in accordance with the city's open space master plan. Does the city have an open space master plan? The only open space master plan is the post plan.
Wouldn't that be the city's open space master plan?
Okay, but that's not what it's called. I guess
I think it's referring to the post plan
Okay.
in that
So
section.
we can just
Yeah.
couldn't we change the wording? And I mean, because I know we don't want to write another city open space master plan when we have the post. So is it just wording, do you think, Nancy, would help this out? Would it make it more palatable?
Well, maybe there's an understanding that the open space management plan now is the same as the post, and if the city.
Maybe we just need to make that clear in this wording. What do you think, Hannah or Skylar?
So when generally we're trying to use the category of a type of plan versus the name of a specific plan, just so it stays applicable longer. So like when we're referencing Plan Manitou, we say the city's comprehensive plan because it may not always be called Plan Manitou.
Gotcha.
So as long as it's recognized that the post plan is the city's open space master plan, then that should be fine.
For this period of time. Because we've had the Rainbow Vision Plan, and the next Trails and Open Space Plan might be called something totally different.
Right.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, well, and I still wonder about the criteria established by the planning department under number 1.
That seems like a good question. And to piggyback on that question, we keep getting this criteria established by, and I think I've asked this question before over the years, we got saddled with, we need to write an open space management plan for all the little parcels of open space. But we never really found out who told us to do that. Like, it was by code, but we never saw like the planning department. Did they establish that? Was it something 40 years ago? I guess we need to and I get this. I get what you're saying, Nancy, the criteria established by the planning department.
Or by us, I don't know.
I don't think planning department knows that they have to establish some criteria.
No.
So,
I can assure you we didn't know that.
but not too long ago, we had the planning department telling us that we had to do these management plans for the 400 square foot place on Cliff Road, and we didn't have any direction or how to do that or why we're doing it, really.
Can I
Because
say
Palmer Land
something?
Trust did not care about those things. Go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah, it's part of the master plan, the post master plan, that we do develop management plan for all of the open spaces, not just, you know, the giant big parcels. So that's why we are working towards that. And we are working on developing a master plan for those small open parcels.
So for a long time, it was told to us that it was a code requirement and planning department wanted it. And that's very different than the post plan saying it should be done. So I guess what I'm saying is Nancy has a good point here by the criteria established by the planning department. I'm saying it differently. Like who really wants what from us?
I
And
think,
just-
I think we, you know, there's some good criteria established in the post plan. And then we're still lacking some criteria ourselves, I guess.
But planning, but does the planning department, what role do they have in establishing criteria?
None that I know of.
No, I would say that it's not within our purview to regulate how open space is managed. I would say that purview solely falls within OSAC and the Parks and Recreation Department. I don't think that the planning department has a role here. What's really possible happened is that at one point before there was a Parks and Recreation Department, the planning department was the only place that it could happen. And then this
100%
code
that.
Didn't
That is exactly what happened.
So we could just update it to say, as established by the Parks and Recreation Department. Skylar, I don't know if you have a strong opinion on that, or by the city's adopted open space master plan, or whoever you think would be the appropriate authority to establish that criteria.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this whole section is referencing the post plan, not individual open space management plans. And the Parks and Recreation Department is to execute the post plan in collaboration with OSAC and PARAB. So it seems like all this needs to be cleaned up to reflect that.
I think that was very well said.
Thank you.
Can everybody agree with what Skylar said?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes. What else we got? So Hannah, will this come back to us again?
So what I can do is draft some of these changes and with working with Skylar and bring that back to an upcoming meeting. I would request that it potentially be October, just so that we can still stay relatively on track with our timeline.
Could September work for you?
Yeah, I'm not, whatever your meeting schedule is, I can make that work.
Hey, Hannah?
Yeah.
So quick question. Have you changed any of the lot sizes, building dimensions, stuff like that in this document?
For the other zone districts,
Yeah.
we are proposing to carry forward pretty much the exact same development standard. So the minimum lot sizes would stay the same, the building heights would stay the same.
Just curious, that's it. Thank you.
Hannah, where do we find, in what section of the code are the duties of the code enforcement officer? I know that's not the right name anymore.
Yeah, our neighborhood services officer,
Right.
that would fall within the, I'm pretty sure it's the application procedures section. That is not posted for review just yet because it is being reviewed by our city attorney still. But we are proposing to add teeth to that section. Currently it's very wishy-washy and very difficult to work with, and it doesn't really even outline clear authority to the neighborhood services officer to enforce the code or
Right.
what tools are within their purview to use. And so that'll be changing.
Okay, great. And you, in your letter, you had a couple of suggested motions, and I can't bring that out myself, but I'm assuming,
I
Oh.
did.
there it is.
So I had proposed if the committee felt comfortable doing so tonight, and I'm not trying to pressure or anything like that, but if you felt comfortable to make that recommendation of approval to the city council as it's currently described, but that's not what's happening anymore, or to make that recommendation based on the changes that we've talked about. But again, if you would prefer that I come back with some of these changes, then we can also do this motion another time.
So you'll bring us a motion at that time.
If you wanted me to come back, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see it, that one, what we just spoke about, that cleaned up with Skylar's input. I think that would help us a lot. And honestly, that the land, gosh, what were we talking about? The land use, the apiaries and community gardens, I would be 100%. I don't have to get deep in the woods. Anybody else can if they want. I would be 100% fine just knowing that anything can happen on the property as long as it's approved by us. So.
Well, really, it should be approved by council, but yeah,
Approved
recommended
by
or
us and
whatever.
recommended to council. Yeah,
council.
I understand that, how that works.
So you're saying don't limit it to what they have, right? Just say that other uses.
No, it could
might-
be, I'm just saying personally, I don't care what it's limited to. This is personally,
Yeah,
as long as it's approved by us. I mean, if someone wants to build well, I mean, I'm not going to go through all the different things
Right.
that we possibly
But-
want, but
okay, because I was thinking on this too, like we picked 3 things out specifically, but who knows what might be of
Right.
interest to people 10 years from now. So, because I was kind of thinking the same thing, like, if you have it in there, but just say maybe not limited to, or something that we
Right,
might
right.
decide that it's okay to have, I don't know, a butterfly sanctuary, or I don't know whatever might come up, right?
Exactly, Jeff.
As long as
That's-
we look at it case by case.
right.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think, I would be totally fine if those things weren't even written into the code. It could be anything that comes up in perpetuity that it would just have to go through us to get a recommendation to go to council. So,
Well, another example is the monuments business.
right,
So you could list those things, et cetera, as examples or for examples, and then leave it open.
right. Yeah, as long as it's open, because you never know what's going to come up in 20 years, 30 years. So,
Yeah, it's really hard to write a code that's future-proof, but we do our best.
right. Hannah, what are your thoughts on being a little more vague with that?
I'm all for whatever you guys think is best. I want to make the land as usable as possible, but that means different things to different people. So I am perfectly okay with allowing those additional land uses. Just as like a side note, I think that on some of those bigger parcels where you do have a conservation easement, you're going to be pretty limited. But on those smaller parcels, as long as it was approved by you guys, then I think us as the city planning department would be open to that too.
Cool.
Great, so I can make some adjustments and then bring it back to the committee.
Awesome, Hannah. And our September meeting, we're going to have in person. We're going to be doing a budget retreat type thing. We'll just put you like right up front. And
Okay.
It sounds like with all these changes, we can do it probably pretty quickly and just get you in and out. Unless you want to be at the end of the meeting and see all the whole thing. I'm just
That's a joke.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I do a lot of night meetings, so the earlier the better for me.
yeah, we'll get it right at first thing. So
Yeah, and I can be pretty quick.
any other questions, guys? No.
Thank
All
you.
right, well, let's move to new business. Or no, number 2 under new business. The OSAC goals and expectations. The only reason I put my name on here is because I didn't know I thought Nancy said she might or might not be here. Did you guys all see the email that we sent out with Nancy's Nancy's incredible work of moving things around and just kind of getting us a good start on what can go where. Everybody see that?
That wasn't in the packet, was it?
No, but it came this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I saw were the goals, which was
What's that?
the goals out of the post.
Yeah, as goals and expectations, and she has highlighted in there what she kind of
Oh,
went
okay.
through the post
Yeah.
plan and put to where. I guess so. The point is, we need to go through this together as a big group and put goals and expectations for the two different subcommittees. Basically, those will be, what would you call them, marching orders, like all the things that we want as a whole to be accomplished by these, or started by these subcommittees, to bring back to the group as a whole. Does that make sense? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, my thought was that this kind of becomes the agenda for the first meeting of
Right.
each committee.
Yep, and then kind of go from there. And real quick housekeeping thing, Cheryl wasn't at the last meeting, and Cheryl has more interest. Oh, go ahead, Cheryl. I can't hear you.
I said, I texted you that I'm okay to leave it where it is.
Okay, well, if you want to switch up, I'm totally cool. Steve can go to Trails. Yeah. Totally up to you now.
You mean Steve said he could go to Trails?
Steve Brimner.
I'm fine. Just leave it.
Okay, cool. That was a bit of housekeeping. So
I thought Steve was already on Trails.
I was gonna move him over because Cheryl had thought she might want to be on land. No, Steve is on OSAC management.
You
And
mean
Cheryl is on
Open
Trails.
space management? Okay.
Yeah, the open space management.
Okay.
So what does everybody think about the goals and expectations of these two groups?
And
That's fine. So you're saying for the next meeting, come up with a outline for whatever documents we're gonna have in this.
Well, I think we all kind of discussed that we would get goals and expectations of the subcommittees as a whole. So then there's not any kind of confusion when we all get back together and say, oh, I thought you were working on this, or we thought we were doing this. Does that make sense?
I don't know, I hope it's not necessary with what I did, Shannon.
No, yeah, I think what you did is great. I wanted to see if anybody wanted to add or subtract.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't know if it needs to be done as a whole group. If people think, or if the subcommittee meets and says, no, we don't think this is our purview, or we think this should be a group goal or whatever.
I
then
guess
they
to
bring
be very
that back to
blunt,
the whole group.
the last people were worried that things weren't getting done right in different committees. So I wanted to, as a group, address that. And if anybody had concerns or questions of what the committees were up to, we could talk about it right now
Okay.
and see what people wanted done. Because I know, like the land acquisitions, people weren't happy with the way it was presented. Trail maintenance, trail management, we had some curiosities of if we need to do the inventories and if we didn't. So trying to find this real quick. So, I mean, is everybody totally cool with what Nancy did then?
Yeah, I think that she identified what was in there and categorized it.
Does anybody have anything they want to change? Or
I just-
add or subtract?
Yeah, I think that that's great. And I think that when we meet as the subcommittees, that would be a good thing to start with, just kind of discuss that, hammer it out, make sure we're all on the same page. But I think it's great guideline. Yeah.
Awesome, Nancy, you rock. Anybody else?
I just have a logistical question. I'm confused.
I can
So-
barely hear you.
Is this better?
Yeah, I can turn on closed captioning too. Just-
Well, I just have a question. Am I understanding correctly, but September is the budget meeting? So the subcommittees are not going to meet until October?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And it's just one subcommittee in October, right?
Correct.
Which
Do we-
one?
Yeah, which one?
Well,
That was gonna be my
what do you
next
guys, what do you
question.
guys want to do? Do we have pressing business on either one?
Well, I think did we just decide that the first one is to go over Nancy's proposed goals and so on? So that gives us something to do each subcommittee.
It totally does, but if there was some, I mean, I know Trails always has pressing issues with things going wrong, new trails coming up, properties being bought. Land acquisition could have something on the horizon. So I'm curious, as the two leaders, do you guys have anything like, oh my God, I really need to talk about that as soon as possible? No?
No,
don't.
really.
You want to do a Rochambeau then?
So, Shannon, it seems like maybe not everybody's quite clear that in October, only one subcommittee is going to come together and meet. The other
Correct.
committee is not going to meet at all that month, correct?
Right.
So
They'll meet in
want to
November.
review that?
And nor, oh, so you weren't here. I'm sorry. There were a couple people not
No,
here.
I get it because you explained it to me, but I was just curious as whether Judy was understanding it.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, okay.
I just, so basically what we've done is cut our general meetings to two.
Two out of three.
2 out of 3.
Well, if one committee meets and then the other committee meets,
And then the OSAC committee.
oh, that's 3. Okay.
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, in that meeting, regardless of when we do it, and whether we're the October group or the November group, I'm just throwing this out, do I have this right? What we basically want to do is come up with an outline for whatever document is going to be provided in response to this. So we'll have, I don't think we need to, we've got a pretty rich basis of documents already. I don't think we need to repeat a whole bunch of verbiage, but what we basically need to do is get an overview of what the purpose of the subcommittee is, and then references to whatever areas of documents in our existing documentation describe what it is we're doing in those areas.
And probably prioritize, because I know like the land acquisition portion of the OSAC management committee, we really need to get something to show everybody. We've got the map going. We need to figure out priorities of land. I mean, Andrea and Judy made really good use of their time by saying, hey, we'd like to see some priorities and how do we look at these pieces of property? And I think as the OSAC management committee, that committee should be able to figure that out to present it to the whole group.
Sure.
Does that make sense? I'm
Yeah.
not eloquent, so.
I mean, it's gonna be a long process if we meet every two,
Every third month.
every third month.
Right.
Yeah.
Nancy.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to be clear. These are not my goals. These came directly out of the Post. So,
Right.
so, and I can imagine at that first meeting, going through them and just going, we've already done this, or we're not going to address this right now. In your committees, and then you have the priorities that Shannon is talking about.
And that's what I was trying to accomplish tonight is those part. I'm not worried about the goals that we're putting. Those are just general, but I know people want a more an easier to see land acquisition list. So I think those would be the figure out those priorities. So,
but Shannon, under each goal, there's very specific action plans under each goal. And probably one of those action plans includes what you're talking about. So yeah, just if you make them fit, you know, so that,
And prioritize them.
right, so we're not going off on a tangent unless it's something that fits under the post plan. It should fit under the post plan somewhere before you do a whole lot of work on it.
And I don't think any of this is going to be done overnight.
No, it's not.
We're-
This is a strategic plan.
This is the long-term visionary stuff. So
But it does make it challenging to think about. We have that meeting, which is Denise is going to facilitate, right?
yes,
What we want to get done in that meeting.
that's why we're not going to do subcommittees until after the priority. So next in September, I think I told you guys this, we have to do the budget meeting. Denise is going to facilitate it like she did last year. And that's gonna, all of us as a big group are gonna figure out our priorities and goals for 2023, just like we did for 2022, with Denise facilitating it. So,
But you will have to meet with Denise.
I've already got the meeting set up.
Great, that's what we have to do.
Me and Skylar are going together.
All right. Yeah, so the goals and objectives should drive the budget. The budget shouldn't drive the goals and objectives.
Right, and that's why we're doing it together. We used to do this priority meeting for those of you that weren't around. I don't know why, when I was not in charge, but we did the priority meeting in January, like a month after the budget. So the budget 100% drove the priorities. Or we were basically 2 years behind. Is that a good, I mean, basically, Nancy, would you say?
Actually, it wasn't a problem because, I mean, the reason we did it then is because a lot of our priorities were dictated by other people, like Red Rocks, Friends of Red Rocks, and a whole bunch of other groups don't have their management plans and their volunteer days and everything else set until January. So we were waiting to see where we fit into all that. So that's why we used to wait till then. But otherwise, you're right, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so we're trying to get ahead, and Skylar pointed out, and I think we did it last year, right? Right, like the day before the budget. We're trying to get on the city's schedule of doing the priority thing before the budget meeting. So,
Do you know, are we going to be seeing, you know, last year we had a budget and I'm sure that's in our packet from last year, but are we going to be seeing what we did do this year, how much we did spend on maintenance and property purchases and all the money we did spend and where it went?
yeah, for sure.
If we
Okay.
request it.
We'll see what we budgeted and what we spent, and then what we'll have should see what we'll have in the hopper for this year too, right? This is my first time being the chair or even involved during budget time. So
Maybe we should meet, Shannon.
yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I presented it last year for you while you were gone.
Right.
But as a group, we're going to see all these things. I just don't know the timeliness of when Skylar will give us these numbers, money wise. Rebecca gives it to him.
Yeah, I actually should have that info within the next week or so. So for our budget meeting in September, I'm planning on, you know, just like you said, here's everything that we budgeted for the year. Here's what we spent, how we spent it. And then let's start talking about goals for next year. So the thought is to start, you know, kind of thinking big picture. What are some major projects that we want to start taking on? You know, and there's several big ticket items that, you know, we can start thinking about because we're getting there with the funding. And, you know, do we want to start doing the Serpentine property that we just acquired? Do we want to look at Black Canyon or the Bowers Park connection? You know, there's just some major items that your input will really help direct me and Seth on how we spend our time next year and where we want our budget dollars to go towards.
With this transition, we've also gone from, we could sit around and hang out and figure out the budget by literally just writing down on a piece of paper, right, Nancy? It was never very, very complicated because we never had staff.
Yeah.
Now we
Although it was, I
have-
gotta say, it took me several hours.
No, and I'm not downplaying at all what you did, but it was,
No, but
you could literally do it on your own before.
it'll make a big yeah, right. It'll make a big difference having staff, a huge difference. And I think it's just hearing Skylar list those potential things is huge. It would be really helpful, I think, Sky, if we had for that meeting, a list of the things that you guys see as priorities.
And I want everybody on the committee to bring things that they see as priorities. That's how this works. Like, hey, this is we're going to brainstorm. It's going to be kind of a hodgepodge with someone facilitating, which helps. But OSAC has gone from writing the budget on a napkin to like, we're not there anymore. It's a totally different ballgame. So that's the idea here. And that's where I wanted you guys to kind of give some input. But it sounds like everybody's pretty cool with what Nancy did. I don't think the goal is to go through all of these things and say, we're doing this right away, right now. I think these subcommittees need to figure out their goals. And I was wondering is, as a committee, just like Andrea and Judy brought up, how they would like to have seen land acquisition run a little bit. As a committee, can we help each other figure out how to do and what we'd like to see as a committee from the subcommittees? Everybody's good?
Mhm.
All right.
Andrea? You'd said that you had a lot more work done on the open space management plan for all the parcels.
We've had a couple of conversations about it. I think you were actually there, the ones that we talked about with Skylar, just about how they currently, city folk are working on still, what's the best word, surveying those properties, those little parcels. And that's
Okay.
where we kind of landed on that. Yeah.
All right. So nothing much more than that, right?
Not currently, not like,
Okay.
no,
All right.
but something to keep talking about for sure.
The last update I got from Dylan's actually working on that, was probably 2 months ago, that he's trying to take inventory and figure out exactly which parcels were incorrectly zoned. And we want to make sure we don't lose those. So they're open space, and there's a whole process to zone them correctly. But right now, Dylan is, as he can, taking inventory of the ones that have not been zoned properly.
Okay.
Skylar, do you know if council still wants the budget in the formats that we've done it in the past, that we have to report on this year's goals and goals for next year and whether they've been accomplished or not and how much they cost?
Yes, similar format.
So that's why I keep going back to the goals, you guys. When we have to report on the budget, we have to report our goals and whether they were, I left the meeting last year, or Shannon did, with the list of goals of things that we hope to accomplish this year. We have to report on those at the budget meeting. So however you can.
And we've got it. I mean, I'm not too worried about that. The
Okay.
reporting, what I'm worried about is getting our priorities for next year. So
So do you want this before that meeting, Shannon?
what's that?
Do you want this before that meeting? Do you want an analysis of all these goals?
That's what we're doing in September. And then when's the budget meeting? October, November?
Okay, so that's what's going to guide the meeting in September.
Going to guide the, yes, for sure. No, sorry.
So-
So my report to city council will be me going up in front of them and saying, hey guys, here's the budget. This is what we did last year. This is what we're doing. This is our priorities for next year. And this is what we did. This is what we said we were going to do. This is what we did. This is how much we spent. This is what we're planning on doing next year, which we'll get out of the September meeting. And this is our budget.
Okay.
I know that's simplifying it, but that's it, right, Nancy?
Yep.
So, and then like last year I did it, the only question they asked is, what is $150,000 doing in matching grants? we couldn't really tell them because it was for the Serpentine piece of property. So I said, it's a great thing, blah, 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 blah. And everybody's like, okay, got it. That was literally, it was a 5-minute presentation. It's not a big deal.
I was there.
Yeah, that's right. So it's very simple. I don't think any of them don't trust us, but when we can go there and say, hey, we said we were going to do this and we did this and more, it makes it really easy to approve a budget.
And by that meeting in September, Becca should have the projections for us.
Which is what Skylar said he'll have those numbers in the next couple of weeks. So
There was also in the minutes, there was some question about who sets the agenda for the committees, the small groups. And I would say the chairman sets the agenda.
that's what I think we discussed, right? Everybody?
I don't remember, but
Andrea, you were not here. You got volunteered for a lot.
Yeah, it's all good.
we have to run the meeting.
I'll remember that though. Watch out.
I know. What comes around, goes around, comes around. Yeah, so the chair, the leader of that committee will set the agenda. And that leader of that committee will also report back to the whole. As you know, we do it, everybody's pretty casual. It doesn't have to be a formal report and everybody can chime in, but the chair of the subcommittee will be the one that says, hey, this is what we did. Have any questions? So does this all make sense to everybody? Everybody kind of understand the subcommittee thing?
Yeah. So which one's meeting in October?
All right, Tim and Andrea. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, ready?
Yep. 1, 2, 3. Do it.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Ready, Tim? You guys have to watch because I can't see. Ready? 1, 2, 3, shoot.
Oh man, Andrea wins. You get to pick.
Okay, so we'll do trails next time. So I
Okay.
understand. Okay,
Yeah.
so that is trails in October and then open space in November.
Correct.
Right.
September, we're gonna have, and we'll talk about this in future agendas. Are you guys, everything cool with all that? We got that hashed out?
So we're having a big group party in December, right?
We
At your
can do
house. At your house.
that with a 3-year-old.
She can party. I know she can party.
So are you guys cool with moving on?
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the Goco grant application. Skylar?
Yeah, and I apologize, I should have said this earlier, but I got kicked out of Zoom and I've been trying to get back in as a panelist. I know Andrea's been trying and I can't move over for some reason, so at least you can hear me. I got audio.
Okay.
But anyways, Goco grant application, so it's that time of year. The Goco grants are due next Monday, the 29th. And it seems like we submit a grant every year for the youth corps to do a couple of projects. We did not get awarded a grant last year, so I pulled that application and updated it a little bit, but I wanted to run it by you guys and see if you still support, if we're on the right track. So the application included 2 projects, one to rebuild the timber steps at Wildcat Gulch, and then another to do minor trail work on the East Intamin Trail, more for like drainage and tread work and things like that. So those are the 2 projects that were highlighted in last year's application. Are those both still relevant? Should I also add some fire mitigation as part of this application because Goco supports that as well? I don't know, what are some initial thoughts?
I would urge you to go back and look at the successful applications. They really they would rather you zero in on 1 or 2 projects that sound really great than we've never had much luck when we've asked for just general maintenance kind of things. Like the stairs would be a really good project. and good to define, but just having written a few of those, some successful, some not, I'm starting to see that, you know, the more the project can sound exciting and really make a difference or make a connection or something like that, they're much more interested in that kind of stuff than we want to maintain another 1.5 miles of trails. Just a suggestion. So
Okay.
if you could really play up the timber steps, that would be great. Seth can probably evaluate whether that's 1 or 2 weeks of work. But yeah, they like your sexy projects.
Like fire mitigation, is that sexy?
We have gotten a lot of fire mitigation work from them in the past. I wrote a couple of those. If you have something in mind, it sure can work.
Well, I've got 2 places in mind. I was going to bring this up later to Skylar, but I don't know if does anybody know where Mountain View is? And the way it curves around the ravine up high, and then it leads up into Billbauer Park. That ravine close to those homes is loaded. And Craig and I are thinking that actually people have been throwing their wood that was damaged into the ravine. It is loaded with dead everything. And that would be another great fire mitigation project.
Are you
Is it
talking
open
about
space?
Deer
Mhm.
Park?
Right? Mountain View Road. Yeah, and it winds around up from Sutherland, and then it goes over into way up around about 8-10 houses, and it comes out along Billbauer Park. But the ravine there is just, it's unbelievable.
I believe that's all privately owned.
Well, that's the property that we're talking about that goes to Billbauer Park.
Right, but it's privately owned.
Oh, okay, we're still nowhere with that.
Well, if it's on our easement, we can do it. The other thing, Skylar, that they will do, if you can make a case that doing mitigation on private property will save open space property near it, they'll sometimes do that, but it's.
But we don't have any. It would be
Yeah.
all the way down and across the street on Manitou Ave.
Yeah,
So that won't work then.
no.
Okay.
Tim?
Never mind.
And I know a long time ago, we talked about, another thing we talked about doing that we didn't move on for whatever reason was, I thought we had talked about weed mitigation.
Noxious weeds?
Yeah. And I don't know about where areas where you hike, but I'm starting to see that stuff they call Canadian thistle everywhere. I saw it on the Antman Trail yesterday. We hiked up there, and I couldn't believe it. There was thistle growing there. And that's definitely an invasive species. Now, I'm just giving that as an example, but I was just thinking maybe that would be a good one. I don't know if that's sexy, but.
I'm still hoping I can get a goat crew out here at some point. I've got a good contact, but they're so busy doing, noxious weed mitigation all over the state, but they are interested in coming to Manitou at some point. I know, what is it, Bear Creek uses them a lot every year. So I'm trying to tap into that, but that's about the only lead I have right now.
Well, is that sexy?
The goats are.
Goats? Everybody loves goats.
Weed
Goats are.
mitigation, noxious weed mitigation.
Well, and I will say too, like, in the last time that they were working, like they do go back and do a lot of that work too, when they sort of finish a project or whatever, not that it's necessarily part of the grant specifically, but.
Well, I believe last year the Wildcat Gulch was set for 2 weeks, and then we're asking for an additional week of tread maintenance. So it's 3 weeks total. And then if we add fire mitigation, that'd be another 2 weeks. But if you're saying it's better to focus on one project, then maybe we just keep the 2 weeks at Wildcat Gulch. And then if we're able to stretch that and go a little further, then we can have them do, you know, more tread maintenance or whatever on that trail and go a little further.
Yeah. If you do that, you know, they like to know the exact number of stairs, you know, they need 2 maps, all of that business. The more specific you can be, it seems like the better they like it.
And that was all in the last proposal that Andrea wrote up.
And Tim. But I think that sounds all right, is to just really focus on that one project, you know, versus like general trail maintenance. But maybe then we add a week just of fire mitigation too. I don't know. I feel like the general trail maintenance got worked on a lot this last year as well. So.
Well, maybe, you know, another approach, and we can talk about this at the budget meeting, but maybe we have the grant for the stairs project and then OSAC commit funds to, you know, an additional 2 weeks of trail maintenance. So that would be 4 weeks total.
Good.
Yeah, I'd support that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it might also be with their 2 weeks from this year rolled over too. So
Yeah. So that's going to be hanging out with the youth corps all next summer.
That's not a bad thing.
no. Cool, Skylar. Is that crystal clear for you?
Yep, I'm good. That's what I needed. Thanks for your input there.
Thank you for
Awesome.
doing that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, dude.
It's wonderful.
We got it.
I think
Really wonderful, let me tell you.
if that was the only thing you ever did, I think Nancy would be super stoked.
Oh, I would be so happy. I am so happy.
I just want you to be happy.
Nice.
That's all we try to do.
So we'll move on to old business. The one we added is the Stewart Survey. I think that's by the Red Castle Inn. Skylar, if you could, or whoever wants to talk about it. Sounds like a piece of the trail fell over. We need to work on it, but we can't really do it without an easement. Do I got that correct?
Correct. Yeah, the trail needs some work. It seems like it's a social trail connection up to the Intamin, and did some digging, and we don't have an easement. There was a handshake deal that Dan Stewart would allow people to cross the property, and over time it developed into that social trail. So we cannot do any maintenance on it since it's private property right now, and we do not have an easement. So the first step to get that easement is a survey. So I got a quote from the in-house surveyor, and it's $7,000. That's what I sent out earlier today. It seems a little pricey to me, but that's the contractor that we need to use, and he listed the reasons why it's at that price. So again, asking for OSAC input. Is that something that we should pursue and get a formal easement so that we can do maintenance on that trail? And if so, is OSAC willing to pay for that survey?
Is there a reason we have to use one contractor? We can't get like a bid from somebody else if you think it seems high?
Yes, it's there is a reason we need to use that contractor, because they are the on-call surveyor for the city. So I cannot use anybody else. The short answer.
Well, that takes care of that.
Yeah, I mean, how often does that go up for review?
Yeah. Taking us to the cleaners.
I'm not sure. That's a planning department deal, and I believe it's reviewed annually, but right now my hands are tied. That's the surveyor we need to use.
All right. Just for like good notes, like does somebody keep track of that and like say, hey, we had to use them for 20 things and we thought they were high. I mean, it just seems like it'd be good. Like, I mean, I don't know what the work is, but you've seen it and if you think it looks high, you just kind of wonder how many other things come up like that. And hopefully that gets reported to somebody so that when that year's up, somebody looks at them and says, man, we need to look at other people. That's a little off topic, but that's just what comes into my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to dig into it too much, but that's not who we used on Black Canyon. So it must not be a hard and fast rule.
So I believe this is maybe the second year of this contractor.
Okay,
So it's fairly recent.
got it.
We had someone else before.
And that does make sense. I mean, because when we did the Black Canyon, we used the same person for the Wildcat Gulch too. And I don't think we had to go to bid for those things. And those were like 12, 13 grand.
So Skylar, we have to get this survey. Because it's our easement, or because Dan's going to give us an easement or has given us an easement?
We are requesting an easement from
Okay.
Dan.
Okay. So then it'll be permanent, right?
Right,
And recorded.
right.
Okay.
Well, Skylar, I think me and you might have discussed this, but just for the record, this is open space property, right?
Technically, right now, it is Dan Stewart's private property.
Does it
There is-
connect to a technical open space, or is it connect to a social trail that someone else owns?
I believe it's just a pass through. Once you get through his property, you're on Pawnee. And then you go up to the Intamin, on either side there.
So
Oh,
we
I-
are 100% positive that it connects Pawnee to like official open space.
Isn't it Oklahoma? Isn't it the tot lot? Is that where it is?
Yeah, that's where I thought it was.
Because the tot lot is a park.
Well, apparently not in, yeah.
I thought we were talking about that cut through below that.
Below the tot lot?
Yeah, there's like that cut through that you look up and you see that property up above. Maybe I don't know what we're talking about either then.
I'm a little,
I have a map here. Maybe I'll try emailing it to Shannon and see if you can share your screen.
oh, whoa, that's, I've never done that before.
If you send it to me, I might.
Yeah,
be-
send it to Nancy. That's way above my pay grade.
Yeah, because if it's the one that goes to Pawnee, that sounds like that lower one, yeah, where you're kind of like you walk past that dead end street where the driveway to the place is, right? Is that, I don't know if I'm describing that well. Like you go down Pawnee and then you take if you're coming down the hill, you walk down Pawnee and you take a right on that little street that has like two houses on it and it dead ends at like the driveway for that property
Yeah,
you're
is
talking
that
about.
Fairview or something?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
I think you are describing, or at least what I think it's referencing also.
That's what I thought we
South
were
side,
talking about.
South
Yeah.
Side Road is the address.
I'm lost.
Well, and I don't mean to argue with you, Skylar. I just want to make sure we're paying for something that's on our land
Yeah.
or connects our land to something.
So Nancy, I just emailed it to you. It's
Okay.
a screenshot of the Onyx map there, so you guys can kind of follow. But it is currently used as a trail. So I could tell you that much. And it connects over to Pawnee, like it kind of goes on that South Side Road. And then you use Pawnee to get onto the Intamin.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely that cut through is definitely the major part of the trail.
Yeah,
Okay.
but none of that property, I don't know, but I wouldn't have thought any of that property around there was open space. I thought it was just a pass through for the trail from street to street.
From what I can tell, what he just said, street to street would be the best definition of that connection.
Yeah. But it's super important because anybody that hikes the Intamin Trail has to use that. Or do like a big, circumvent kind of route.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, can you see this? Is this it?
No. Yeah, but it's really,
Yes, thank you, Nancy.
oh, there's Stewart, Dan, over to the right in the middle of the map on the right side.
You can see
Whoa.
my blue mark there.
I just
Whoa.
want to,
Uh-oh, everything went bye-bye.
hold on. I don't know what happened. Yeah, sorry. It's apparently above my pay grade too.
Oh, there's a bear. Yay.
Is that good? Can you see
You
that?
want a bear
yet.
story?
What? Is that a yes?
No.
No,
Bear story.
It's a story about Bear Smart.
Oh, crap. Why
Cute.
is- I don't know where that came from. It says I'm sharing my screen. I'll try again.
We can't see your screen. Now we see you. Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. Let's see. It's here somewhere.
So if you guys want to all look on your maps, it connects Delaware to Southside. If you just kind of look on your Google map, that's the path we're looking at. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
what
a
I'm
cut
thinking.
through.
Of. Yeah.
And then you get on Southside, you pop out on Southside, and then you go up the hill on Pawnee, and then you're at the trailhead for Intamin.
Ta-da.
There it is.
There you go.
Is Dan Stewart.
So the blue shaded part is what is the trail. And until it gets on the road, so there's the white road there, that's his driveway. And there's a trail that's below the driveway.
Mhm.
And it's yeah, kind of a social trail right now. So we would need a formal easement to make that an official trail.
Okay, I'm trying to follow it here. So this is Dan's property. This is the trail.
Uh-huh.
Tell me when I get to where we need the survey.
Done.
So the survey is all on Dan's property. So you can kind of see the red lines of his
House.
property. No, his house is kind of right there in the middle at the top of the
Oh, right here.
driveway. Yep.
Yeah.
Here.
So the
Okay,
trail is below that. And I don't know if you can kind of see the red outline of his property
yep,
boundaries. So the blue trail or the blue shaded kind of follows the driveway because that's kind of where the trail goes.
Uh-huh.
And it pops out on South Side under that Richard Baker property. That little
Yeah.
road there is called South Side.
geez, I don't even know this trail at all.
Yeah, the trail I was thinking of is basically where her mouse is right there, but it goes right between those red lines to the other street. Yeah,
Here?
that's the trail I always hike.
Yeah, I don't know any trail that goes on his driveway.
So
Yeah,
Dan,
neither do I.
Skylar, is that whole thing his driveway?
Yep.
And the
Yes.
trail that
Yeah.
we're, the
Yeah.
trail in quotes is also his driveway?
The trail goes just below the driveway.
Have you seen it, or did somebody just describe it to you? Because I've walked this trail. The trail goes from where her mouse is. I mean, the trail I've walked, it goes from where her mouse is, and then yep, that little section right there is what I've always hiked when I do that.
same here.
Yeah,
No,
I've never been up
Go
here.
to.
I think there's a gate across that. I don't think you can go through there. I think he's got like a gate.
Yeah,
Right here.
I don't think Dan's gonna give us an easement across it.
No, that's huge.
Oh,
well, not only that, but it's not our.
Not our concern, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody just described it to you, maybe they just said, oh, that's where it starts, is at the driveway, because it starts right at his driveway, right where it says Baker. Yeah, right there is where it starts, which is right where his driveway starts. And it goes like if you just kind of keep moving your mouse.
That's
Which-
Oklahoma down there, right? Right below Robert Ames. That's
Yeah.
that's Bad Bob's. And that's Oklahoma. That curves right there, right?
Here?
Yeah, I think that's
Delaware.
Yeah, okay.
Delaware. Okay.
But yeah, it's just that little short section, I think.
Well,
is-
that,
Here? Or right
that-
here?
that- yeah, that part right there, just that right there. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I hike.
Yeah, yeah.
but then
That's-
where does it go to once you hike up there?
Then you have to walk the street for a ways.
Oh, then you walk the street up.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of like we should abandon, I mean,
No, it's a great way to go.
yeah, no, it is good. Should I show them the picture of the other picture you sent, Sky?
Well, I guess maybe I need Seth to confirm because I know he's more familiar with that area than I am. Because my understanding was it follows the driveway for a little bit and then cuts over to the road.
Right,
That is his driveway.
I think it's this part of his
It is a
driveway.
huge,
His
long
gate-
driveway, and then he
His
has.
gate
the
is
gate,
here,
And then he has
this
the
this
gate.
part of his driveway, and then it goes this way.
I think that part that you guys are calling his driveway, that I think that's south side.
Yeah, that's a street.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
That
street.
first straight part of the blue is the street. And then right at the end of that street, there's like
And
a
there's the
gate,
Mhm.
but you don't go through the gate, you go next to it and then you can walk the trail. But
So I
don't
mean,
think-
honestly, guys, I don't think this has anything to do with open space. I mean, it
I
is
don't
a
either.
shortcut to a street that takes you to open space. Right?
Right.
well, I don't know whose purview that falls under, but like if like the goal of having trail access falls upon us as part of open space, then I say it's worth whatever to make that official, because that's the way you hike if you're hiking the intimate trail.
Well, but my point would be there's also streets division, there's parks and rec, there's city. This might not be something that needs to come out of our budget.
Yeah, I'm
agree
just saying
that
I would want it to go to somebody like on us, because we wouldn't want to lose that trail. is all I guess.
I agree it needs to be done, but I don't know that this is our.
Well, and we are acquiring property not just for open space. I mean, it is also for trails, you know.
Connections. Yeah,
Yeah, I
But-
mean, this is
but my
this is
other
Dan's
point-
driveway. He's not giving us an easement. This is a street. This is a city street. This is
So I think we need to get clear on like what exactly we're talking about.
yeah.
But
Thank you.
also that seems like a pretty low price for a forever easement across that.
Well, that's
If that's
just a
what the
survey.
cost-
That's not buying the easement. That's just
Okay.
survey.
so this is the falling down wall that you sent me a picture of, Sky?
Yeah, that other picture in the email is
Let me-
the kind of retaining wall that holds.
Where
up the
exactly
driveway.
is that wall on this
Let
map?
me share this and see if this looks familiar to
Can
anyone.
you show us where it is on the map?
No, I can't.
So there.
Let's see. I think I just.
I would like to add that the original Paul Intiman Memorial Nature Trail maps that are posted around town, you can access them online. It has this section listed in purple as part of the historic Intiman Trail. And it's a little section in between the Delaware and the South Side Road that you can see really clearly labeled.
Yeah, that's the old Inman Trail.
Yep. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
That's the wall, I guess.
Looks like it's in pretty bad shape.
Yeah. Well, that's why they want to fix it, but we can't fix it because we don't own it.
Yeah,
This is on Dan's property?
Right now, it's all technically on Dan's property. Since we don't have an easement, it's not public property. We can't do any maintenance on it to repair the wall or the trail. So that's kind of why we're bringing it to you guys. First step is to get that survey done so that we can get a legal description and request an easement.
Hey, Skylar, so is this old Intamin Trail, is it part of Southside and like the Southside Road right away?
I mean, I guess I should go look at it again to make sure I'm giving you accurate information, but my understanding is this trail is 100% on Dan Stewart's property, not part of the right of way or anything. And it
Maybe-
pops out onto the street, which, you know, is
It pops out onto Southside or it pops out
Southside.
onto Pawnee?
pops out onto South Side.
Yeah, maybe the reason that it's 7,000 is that it got referenced wrong, because like if it was that whole big driveway, maybe that would make sense. But
Yeah,
to me, I think it's just that little short straight line in there.
that's a really good point, Jeff.
Okay, I tell you what, I will just make sure we're talking about the right area and give them.
Because there's no way we would be doing his whole driveway.
No, I don't, the trail isn't on his driveway at all, is my understanding.
Yeah.
But that Southside Road basically is his driveway.
You guys, you see this right here? Is there any chance this is the social trail he's talking about? Coming down here?
It'd be,
Yeah, it kind of follows that
See that?
line there. So that's what I mean. His driveway is above that retaining wall there.
So this is looking west.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, so it maybe follows it for like 20 or 30 feet and then veers, if I remember right.
Veers
kinda-
this way?
Yeah, then it kind of like to you, I would say. It's kind of hard to tell. Like, but yeah, I think it follows the driveway just a tiny, like for a few feet, and then it kind of veers east.
Yeah, let me just look into this a little more and maybe I'll bring it back to you in September, or we can even do this over email communication. But
Yeah.
I guess just in principle, this would be worth it to OSAC to pursue an easement.
Yes.
Am I
Yeah.
hearing you right? Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, my perspective, I do believe this would fall under OSAC because I don't know who else it would fall under, since it has to do with the trail connection and the Intamin Trail. So
My only argument is if you found out some way it was like Southside Street, and I'm just saying that to do due diligence. I'm 100% paying for it and doing it. But I just want to make sure that it's
Well,
our
we're not repairing Dan's, well, I guess we are repairing Dan's wall, but
well, but only.
as long as
part
we
of it.
get the easement, it's okay.
Well, and I mean, I guess another question, just for due diligence, to play devil's advocate, this looks like a complete mess. When we do an easement on that, have we saddled ourselves with like a humongous repair and shoring up of his driveway to some structural standards that have to support a driveway?
Well, it looks like a trail. It doesn't look like a driveway.
But his driveway is right above that.
Yeah.
So anything we do, we can't, I'm just saying, I think about that too. So maybe it would behoove us to find out exactly what we're in for. And is there a way to route that trail a little bit differently that we're not on the hook for his driveway when the rest of that collapses? Are we gonna have to spend 70 grand building a new wall there?
well, so I'm taking this one step at a time. I haven't gotten to that point yet, Shannon. The first step to me is just if an easement is even possible and if Dan is open to that, which I think he is. And he wants to continue supporting a trail there. So the first step is to get that easement, and then, yeah, we can talk about the repairing the wall and a sustainable trail at that point.
Well, and all I'm saying is if we take that on as our property, I would like to know the risk we're taking by taking that onto our property. Because it's already a failing wall. We're buying something that is failing with a driveway above it. what, I just want to know what we're getting into there. Because if we're buying something for 100-foot shortcut, that's going to cost us a lot of money down the road. I think we need to just have the discussion. And I think the first step is to have a survey. So,
Well, and the survey should be just exactly what it is we're supposed to be looking at, not the whole driveway.
not the whole thing, right?
Maybe that's why it's so expensive.
Yeah,
Okay.
good point. So let me look into it a little more.
Sounds good.
Thanks, man. Any other questions about that?
I was just looking at it on Google Maps, and I think you can kind of see it a little better.
It sounds like you know it well.
Yeah, I mean, so I think, yeah, it's depending on where that wall part is, because there's kind of like also like a little arroyo that goes through there. But yeah, I think it does go right next to his driveway for like 20 or 30, I don't know, 20 feet, and then it kind of veers off towards Delaware. I work
Okay.
from home tomorrow. Maybe I'll take a hike.
Shoot me a text, Jeff. When you do, I'll go up there with you.
All right.
I think that's it. There's a future agendas. So September, we're gonna do. How long do those meetings usually last? It seems like Denise is pretty efficient. Would you guys say that? Fairly?
I don't know if she was efficient, but I think she did a good job of it.
No, I think she did too. I guess my question is, should we have dinner brought to us? Would you guys want to do pizza or anything?
Does it start at 6?
I think so. And I seems like we might have had food last time.
We did.
Yeah. You guys want to do that again?
Sure. Why not?
Keep everybody's blood sugar at a good plane. So we'll do that 6 o'clock, but it's going to be in person at City Hall. And bring some ideas and your ideas for priorities and all that. Everybody's going to have a say, and let's figure out what we need to do for 2023. We'll keep making ourselves look super productive.
So it's Monday, September 26th.
Yeah, whatever the 4th Monday is.
Hey.
Anybody else have anything they want on future agendas? Nope. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make that motion to adjourn.
A second
Second.
and a vote. See you guys later.
Thanks all.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
Hey,
Bye.
guys.